The massive hall stretched far into the distance, its black floor shining under lights from above. Jake Morrison stood in the center of the room wearing his best uniform. He was alone. Around him, sitting in circles that went up and up into the shadows, were creatures from all across the galaxy. There were 247 different species in this room. Not one of them was human. The eldest was a being made of crystal. It spoke without words, and everyone could understand it in their minds. Its body flashed with different colors as it began to speak. Humanity has broken our laws. You have built weapons when we told everyone to live in peace. Your ships carry guns that are too powerful. You are making a military that threatens the balance we have kept for 10,000 years. Jake kept his face calm, but his jaw was tight. He was angry, but he could not show it. We built defenses, nothing more. When the Vraxis attacked our colony on New Terra, we called for help. The Council did nothing. We had to protect ourselves. A creature that looked like a giant insect laughed. Its name was hard to pronounce, but it was from the Threxian species. Protection? We have watched your shipyards. We have counted your warships. Humanity is building an army for war. Jake spoke firmly. An army that stays around our own worlds. We have not attacked anyone. We simply refuse to be victims again. The eldest's body turned deep red. The decision is made. Humanity is removed from the Galactic Council. All trade agreements are ended. All diplomatic ties are cut. You have 30 days to leave your embassies and remove your people from Council space. Any human ship found beyond your territory after 30 days will be destroyed. No warnings will be given. The room went silent. Jake felt the weight of billions of people on Earth depending on him. He stood straighter and looked at all the alien faces watching him. Then Earth will remember this day. We came to you as friends. We shared our knowledge, our culture, and our loyalty, and you threw us out because we wanted to defend ourselves. He turned and began walking toward the far exit. His footsteps echoed loudly in the quiet hall. Behind him, the eldest spoke again. Go, human. Return to your small part of space. You are alone now. Jake stopped walking and looked back over his shoulder. No, we are free. The huge doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. The walk back to his ship felt long. Jake thought about what would happen next. Earth had 23 colonies scattered across 12 star systems. They had trade agreements with dozens of species, all now canceled. Their technology relied partly on alien materials they could no longer buy. Millions of humans worked in Council space and would now have to come home. But most importantly, Earth had built its defenses because they knew the galaxy was dangerous. The Council promised protection, but rarely delivered. When the Vraxis attacked New Terra 3 years ago, killing 5,000 colonists, the Council had debated for months before doing nothing. That was when Earth started building warships in secret. Now the secret was out, and the punishment was exile. Jake reached his ship, a small diplomatic vessel called the Messenger. His crew was waiting, their faces showing worry and questions. His second officer, a woman named Kate Fuller, spoke first. Sir, what happened in there? We are officially expelled from the Galactic Council, Jake said quietly. 30 days to evacuate all our people from Council territory. After that, any human ship will be destroyed on sight. The crew looked shocked. Kate asked the question everyone was thinking. What will Earth do now? Jake sat in his captain's chair and looked at the view screen showing the Council station, a massive structure that housed thousands of alien diplomats and staff. We survive, we adapt, and we become stronger than they ever imagined we could be. He opened a communication channel to Earth. The transmission would take 4 hours to reach home, but Fleet Command needed to know immediately. This is Ambassador Morrison to Fleet Command. The Council has exiled humanity. I repeat, we are expelled from the Galactic Council. All humans in Council space have 30 days to evacuate. After that, we are considered hostile in all Council territories. Begin emergency protocols. Morrison out. The ship's engines hummed to life as they left the Council station. Jake watched it shrink in the distance. Somewhere on that station, the Council members were probably congratulating themselves. They had removed a potential threat. They had put the aggressive humans in their place. But Jake knew something they did not. Humanity had survived ice ages, world wars, plagues, and disasters. They had climbed from caves to reach the stars. Being cast out by aliens who thought they were superior was not going to stop them. If anything, it would make them more determined. The trip back to Earth took 9 days. During that time, news of the exile spread across human space. Some people panicked. Others were angry. But most understood that this was a turning point. For 50 years, humanity had tried to fit into the galactic community. They had followed council rules, adopted council customs, and tried to be good members of the galactic order. And the council had thrown them away at the first sign of independence. When Jake's ship finally entered Earth's solar system, he saw that things were already changing. New construction platforms orbited Mars. Shipyards around Jupiter's moons were working at full capacity. Earth's moon had dozens of new military installations being built. Fleet Command called him immediately. Admiral Casey Bennett appeared on his screen. She was a stern woman in her 50s with short gray hair and sharp eyes. "Ambassador Morrison, welcome home. We have much to discuss." "I can see you have been busy, Admiral," Jake said, looking at all the construction on his sensors. "The council made a mistake," Casey said with a cold smile. "They thought exiling us would make us weak. They forgot that humans become most dangerous when we are cornered. Come to Lunar Command as soon as you dock. We have plans to show you. Big plans." Jake smiled for the first time since leaving the council chambers. "I look forward to it, Admiral. It is good to be home." As his ship approached Earth, Jake looked at the blue and green planet below. Somewhere down there, billions of people were learning that the galaxy had rejected them. But rejection was just another challenge. And humanity had never backed down from a challenge before. The council would regret this day. Jake was certain of it. 5 years had passed since the council cast Earth out. Fleet Admiral Casey Bennett stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above Mars. Below her, she could see the construction yards, factories, and training facilities. Where there used to be a few defensive platforms, now there was a massive network of military installations. Earth's solar system had become a fortress. Commander Lisa Hayes walked up beside her with a datapad in hand. "Admiral, the new captains are ready for inspection. 200 of them graduated today." Casey nodded but kept watching the ships being built below. These new vessels were different from anything the galaxy had seen before. When the council cut off trade, humanity lost access to alien technology. At first, this seemed like a disaster, but it forced human engineers to create their own solutions. The results were impressive. Human ships now carried railguns, weapons that fired solid metal rounds at incredible speeds. These guns could punch through alien shields that protected against energy weapons. The armor on human ships was made from materials mined from the asteroid belt, stronger than anything they had used before. And most importantly, the new quantum drives made human vessels faster than any other ships in known space. "How many ships do we have ready to fight?" Casey asked. Lisa checked her datapad. 462 ships are combat ready. Another 200 are almost finished. The civilian colonies have also built their own defense fleets. In total, we have just over 800 warships. Casey allowed herself a small smile. When the council exiled them, everyone thought Earth would collapse. Instead, humanity had built the largest military force they had ever possessed. Every colony contributed. Every factory worked double shifts. Every person understood that their survival depended on being strong enough to defend themselves. "What about Project Vanguard?" Casey asked about the secret program. Lisa's expression became serious. "The prototype test exceeded all our expectations. We are ready to begin full production of the new weapon system." "Good. We will need it soon." Casey brought up a holographic star map showing the regions beyond human space. "Intelligence reports say the Kreelan Empire is expanding toward our borders. They think we are easy targets, isolated and weak. They are going to be surprised," Lisa said with confidence. "More than they know." Casey changed the hologram to show the design of a massive new ship being built in orbit around the moon. It was enormous, over 5 kilometers long and covered with weapons. The Defiance will launch in 6 months. When she enters service, humanity announces that we have returned to galactic affairs, not as beggars asking the council for permission, but as a power in our own right. A young officer hurried over and saluted. "Admiral Bennett, we are receiving a transmission from the outer colonies. The settlement on Titan reports unusual sensor readings at the edge of the Kuiper Belt." Casey and Lisa exchanged looks. "Unknown vessels?" Casey asked. "Possibly, Admiral. They could be Kreelan scouts testing our defenses. Sound the alert across the system. I want reconnaissance drones deployed immediately." Casey straightened her uniform. If they came looking for weakness, we will show them what humanity has become. Alarms began sounding throughout the station. Casey watched as the crews below moved quickly to their battle stations. Every person knew their job. Every system had been practiced hundreds of times. This was what 5 years of preparation looked like. Lisa was already coordinating with the defense fleet. "Admiral, we have 32 ships in range of the Kuiper Belt. They are moving to intercept." "Good, tell them to capture at least one vessel intact if possible. We need to know what the Krelin know about us." Casey thought about the path that had brought them here. 5 years ago, Earth had been part of the Galactic Council, following their rules and trying to fit in. Then the Council abandoned them in their time of need. The Vraxis attack on New Terra killed thousands and the Council did nothing. So Earth built defenses, and for that crime they were exiled. But exile had been a blessing in disguise. Without the Council's restrictions, humanity had grown stronger than ever before. They built weapons the Council had forbidden. They expanded their military beyond the Council's approved limits. They created new technology without having to share it with dozens of alien species. The Council had meant to punish them. Instead, they had freed them. "Admiral, the drones have made contact," Lisa reported. "Confirmed 3 Krelin scout ships. They are small, fast vessels designed for intelligence gathering." "Are they running?" Casey asked. "No, Admiral. They are holding position at the edge of our space. They appear to be scanning our outer colonies." Casey made a decision. "Tell Captain Pierce to intercept with the Horizon and 2 escort frigates. I want those scouts driven off or destroyed. Send a message to the Krelon Empire. Human space is not open for casual exploration." "Yes, Admiral." Casey watched the tactical display as the human ships moved to engage the Krelin scouts. This would not be the last confrontation. The Krelin Empire had been expanding for centuries, conquering weaker species and absorbing their territories. They probably saw exiled humanity as their next easy target. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Over the next hour, reports came in from the engagement. Captain Alex Pierce had intercepted the Krelin scouts. 2 of them tried to fight and were destroyed quickly by the Horizon's railguns. The 3rd scout attempted to flee but was disabled and captured. "Excellent work," Casey said when Pierce reported in. "Bring the captured vessel to Mars orbit. Our intelligence teams will want to examine it thoroughly." "Understood, Admiral. One thing, though. These scouts were equipped with detailed maps of our colonies. The Krelin already know where all our settlements are located." Casey felt a chill. "That means they have been watching us for some time. This was not a random encounter." "No, Admiral. I believe the Krelin are planning something big. These scouts were final reconnaissance before an attack." "Thank you, Captain. Bennett out." Casey closed the channel and looked at Lisa. "If the Krelin are planning an invasion, they will hit us soon, probably before we finish our military buildup. We need to accelerate the Defiance launch schedule," Lisa suggested. "Agreed. And we need to recall our ships from the outer systems. If the Krelin come, I want our full fleet ready to respond." Casey pulled up production schedules and defense plans. "Contact all colonial governors. Tell them to prepare their populations for possible attack. Activate the civilian defense militias, and start moving critical personnel and equipment to secure locations." "Admiral, are we going to inform the Galactic Council about this threat?" Lisa asked. Casey laughed bitterly. "The Council exiled us. They made it clear we are on our own. Why would we warn them about anything? Besides, the Krelin Empire is outside Council space. This is not their problem. But if the Krelin defeat us, they will be stronger and might threaten Council worlds next. Then maybe the Council will regret casting us out. But that is their concern, not ours." Casey looked at the growing fleet below. "We have spent 5 years preparing for this moment. The galaxy said we were too dangerous to be part of their community. Now they will see exactly how dangerous humanity can be when we fight for our survival." Lisa nodded. "Orders are being sent out now, Admiral. All defensive protocols are being activated." Casey returned her attention to the view of the shipyards. In 6 months, the Defiance would launch. But she had a feeling they would not have 6 months. The Krelin were coming, and they would come soon. "Humanity is about to face its greatest test," Casey said quietly. "But we will not fail. We cannot fail. The Council may have abandoned us, but we will show them that Earth needs no one but itself." Captain Alex Pierce held tight to his command chair as the frigate Horizon shook under enemy fire. On the main screen, 3 Krelin warships were closing in fast. Their weapons glowed bright with charged plasma ready to fire again. The Kraylan had crossed into human territory 3 hours ago. They expected to find weak colonies with little defense. Instead, they found Alex and his crew waiting for them. "Shields are down to 60%, Lieutenant Dan Cooper called out from the tactical station. "Their plasma cannons are hitting us hard on the forward deflectors." "Then let us not give them a forward target," Alex said calmly. "Helm, execute pattern Delta 7. Tactical. Prepare railgun batteries 1 through 4. Wait for my order, then give them a full broadside." The horizon spun quickly for a ship of its size. It turned to show its heavily armored side to the enemy, while bringing all its main weapons to aim at the Kraylan vessels. Alex watched the targeting computer lock onto all 3 enemy ships at the same time. He counted the seconds in his head. "Fire now," he ordered. The frigate's railguns fired one after another in perfect timing. Tungsten rounds shot out at incredible speed, moving at a fraction of light speed. The Kraylan captain had no time to react. The first enemy ship's shields broke apart under the kinetic assault. The metal rounds punched straight through the hull. The ship split open, and atmosphere vented out in a cloud of frozen crystals. The second Kraylan vessel tried to dodge, but human railgun rounds were nearly invisible until they hit. The targeting systems gave the enemy only milliseconds to respond. It was not enough time. The ship's engine section exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The third Kraylan warship, now alone, tried to run away. Alex leaned forward in his chair. "Helm, chase them down. Tactical, target their engines only. I want them damaged, not destroyed." Dan looked confused. "Sir, why not destroy them?" "Because they need to go home and tell their empire what happened here," Alex explained. "We are sending a message to the Kraylan." The horizon moved forward fast, its quantum drive allowing it to catch up in seconds. A precise shot from the rear weapons disabled the Kraylan ship's engines, leaving it floating helplessly in space. Alex opened a communication channel, knowing the aliens would hear it even if they could not answer back. "This is Captain Alex Pierce of the Earth Defense Frigate Horizon. You came into human space without permission. Your ships are destroyed or disabled. Go back to your empire and tell them this: Earth is not prey. We are not the weak species you thought you would find. Attack us again, and we will bring our entire fleet to your doorstep. This is your only warning." He closed the channel and sat back. "Helm, set course for home. Send all combat data to Fleet Command. They will want to see everything that happened here." Lisa Hayes was monitoring communications from her station. She looked up with concern. "Captain, we are getting a priority message from Admiral Bennett. The Kraylan attack was not just in our sector. They hit 4 colonies at the same time." Alex felt his blood go cold. "How bad were the casualties?" "Heavy losses at New Haven Colony. They were not as ready as we were." "But sir, our forces stopped all 4 attacks." "The Kraylan lost 23 ships total. We lost 2 frigates and 1 corvette." Alex felt a grim satisfaction. The Kraylan had tested humanity's defenses and found them strong. But this was only the beginning. If the Kraylan Empire decided to launch a full invasion, Earth would need every ship and every weapon they had spent 5 years building. "Set the fleet to condition, Yellow," Alex ordered. "I think things are about to get much more serious." On the screen, the disabled Kraylan ship tumbled slowly through space. Its crew was surely reporting everything back to their commanders. Alex wondered what the Kraylan Emperor would think of this news. Would he back down and leave humanity alone? Or would his pride demand revenge? Either way, humanity would be ready. They had been preparing for this moment since the day the Council exiled them. Alex stood up and walked around his bridge, looking at his crew. They were young, most of them in their 20s or early 30s. They had trained their whole lives for military service. Earth's exile had created a generation of warriors, people who grew up knowing that no one would protect them except themselves. "Good work, everyone," Alex said to his crew. "We just won the first battle of what might become a long war. The Kraylan came here thinking we were easy targets. We showed them the truth. But they will come again, probably with more ships and better tactics." Dan spoke up from Tactical. "Captain, do you really think the Kraylan will launch a full invasion?" "Yes," Alex said honestly. "The Kraylan Empire has been conquering weaker species for hundreds of years. They do not accept defeat easily. We embarrassed them today. Their pride will demand they come back stronger." Another crew member, a young woman at the helm named Jennifer Blake, asked, "Can we win against their entire empire?" Alex thought carefully before answering. 5 years ago, I would have said no. But we are not the same humans who got exiled from the Council. We have built the strongest military in our history. We have technology the Krelon have never seen before, and most importantly, we are fighting to protect our homes and families. That gives us an advantage no amount of ships can match." He returned to his command chair. The council thought they were punishing us with exile, but they actually did us a favor. They freed us from their restrictions. They let us build the kind of military we needed, and now when the Krelon come, they will face an Earth that is ready for war. The Horizon continued its journey back to base. Behind them, the disabled Krelon ship was already being picked up by a recovery team. Human intelligence officers would tear it apart, learning everything they could about Krelon technology and tactics. Every piece of information would be useful in the coming conflict. Alex pulled up his personal logs and began writing his report. Admiral Bennett would want detailed information about the engagement. But more than that, she would want his assessment of the Krelon threat. He wrote carefully, choosing his words with precision. The Krelon were dangerous, but they relied heavily on energy weapons and traditional shield technology. Human railguns had proven devastatingly effective against their defenses. The Krelon ships were slower than human vessels, which gave Earth's forces a tactical advantage. But numbers mattered in war. The Krelon Empire controlled hundreds of star systems. They could field thousands of ships if they chose to. Earth had only 800 combat vessels, spread across a dozen colonies. In a long war of attrition, the Krelon would have the advantage, unless humanity could do something unexpected, something that would change the balance of power completely. Alex finished his report and sent it to Fleet Command. Then he sat back and closed his eyes for a moment. He was tired. Combat was exhausting even when you won, but there was no time to rest. The Horizon needed repairs. His crew needed debriefing. And somewhere out in space, the Krelon Empire was planning its response to today's defeat. "Captain, we will arrive at Mars Station in 4 hours," Jennifer reported from the helm. "Thank you. Maintain current speed and keep sensors at maximum range. I want to know if anything comes near us." Alex looked at the stars visible on the view screen. Somewhere out there, billions of humans were living their lives on Earth in the colonies. Most of them did not know that war was coming. But soon everyone would know. The Krelon would make sure of that. The galaxy had rejected humanity, thinking they were too dangerous to be trusted. Now the galaxy would see just how dangerous humans could be when they fought for survival. The Krelon had made a terrible mistake by attacking. They were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The Krelon response came 6 months later, and it was massive. Fleet Admiral Casey Bennett stood in the command center buried deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon. All around her were holographic displays showing real-time information from across human space. What she saw made her stomach tight with worry. The Krelon had not sent raiders this time. They had sent their entire Western Armada, 300 warships plus carriers, supply vessels, and troop transports. It was an invasion force meant to conquer and destroy. "They are heading for the new Terra system," Commander Lisa Hayes reported. Her voice was tense. "They will arrive in 4 hours. What kind of ships?" Casey asked. 60 capital ships, 200 cruisers, and 40 support vessels. They also have what looks like orbital bombardment platforms. "Casey, if those reach New Terra..." Lisa did not need to finish her sentence. Everyone in the command center knew what would happen. New Terra had 3 million civilians living there. Casey looked at the display showing where Earth's ships were positioned. The human fleet had grown since the first Krelon attacks, but 300 enemy ships was still a huge force. She had 400 combat vessels available, but they were spread out across 12 different star systems protecting various colonies. "How many ships can we get to New Terra in time?" she asked. 140 if we pull defenses from the inner colonies. But Casey, that leaves Earth itself with minimal protection. "The Krelon do not know where Earth is located," Casey said. "They have never gotten deep enough into our space to find the homeworld. But they know exactly where New Terra is, and they are counting on us being too spread out to defend it properly." She made her decision quickly. "Order Admiral Kyle Murphy to take the 3rd and 5th fleets to New Terra. Maximum speed, no delays. And launch the Defiance early." Lisa's eyes went wide. "The flagship is not scheduled to launch for 2 more weeks. The final tests are not complete. She can fly and her weapons work. That will have to be good enough." Casey opened a channel to the massive construction dock orbiting the moon. "This is Fleet Admiral Bennett to Captain Nicole Grant. You are being activated ahead of schedule. Get the Defiance ready for combat and join the defense fleet at New Terra." Captain Nicole Grant's voice came back steady despite the impossible order she had just received. Understood, Admiral. We will be ready. Casey switched to the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Bennett. The Kreelan Empire has declared war on humanity. They think we are weak, scattered, and easy to destroy. They are wrong. 5 years ago, the Galactic Council exiled us because they feared what we might become. Today, we show them their fears were correct. All vessels are authorized to use extreme force. Show no mercy. Make the Kreelan regret ever entering human space. She ended the transmission and looked at the tactical display. Everything was in motion now. Every ship, every weapon, every innovation born from their years in exile was about to be tested in real combat against a superior force. Lisa, get me a communication line to the council chambers. It is time they knew what is happening in their galaxy. Casey, the council cut off all diplomatic contact with us. They will not accept our transmission. Casey smiled coldly. They will when I broadcast on every frequency they use. They cut us out but never change their communication codes. Patch me through. Moments later, Casey's image was being sent across council space, interrupting a normal session in their chambers. The eldest's crystal body pulsed with irritation as Casey's hologram appeared before them uninvited. This is Fleet Admiral Casey Bennett of Earth. 5 years ago, you exiled humanity for building defenses. You called us warmongers. You threw us out. Now the Kreelan Empire has invaded human space with 300 warships. They intend to commit genocide. We do not ask for your help. We do not want your interference. We are simply informing you that as of today, humanity is at war, and when this war ends, the galaxy will have a new power to deal with. Whether that power is your friend or enemy will depend on how you behave in the days ahead. She cut the transmission before they could respond. Lisa was staring at her with something like shock and admiration. You just announced Earth as an independent power, Lisa said. No, Casey corrected. I announced Earth as an empire. And empires are not built by asking permission, they are forged in war. On the display, the human fleet was gathering at New Terra. The Kreelan had come expecting easy prey. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength had never been technology or numbers. It was their absolute refusal to give up, no matter how bad the odds looked. The Battle of New Terra was about to begin, and Casey knew it would determine humanity's future. If they won, Earth would emerge as a major galactic power. If they lost, humanity might be wiped out completely. She watched the countdown timer showing when the Kreelan fleet would arrive at New Terra. 3 hours and 47 minutes. In that time, 140 human ships had to get into position. The Defiance, humanity's most powerful vessel, had to launch and travel across 2 star systems. And 3 million civilians had to prepare for the possibility that their world might become a battlefield. Casey opened a channel to New Terra's governor. Governor Harris, this is Admiral Bennett. You need to evacuate as many civilians as possible to the underground shelters. Move all critical infrastructure below ground. If we fail to stop the Kreelan fleet, they will bombard your planet from orbit. Governor Harris was a calm older man who had led New Terra for 15 years. Admiral, we have been preparing for this possibility since the first Kreelan attacks. Our shelters can hold 4 million people. We will be ready. Just make sure you stop those ships before they get to us. That is the plan, Governor. Bennett out. Lisa was coordinating with the various fleet commanders. Admiral, all ships are reporting in. Admiral Murphy will have 138 vessels in position when the Kreelan arrive. The Defiance just launched from lunar orbit and will arrive 20 minutes after the battle begins. 20 minutes, Casey repeated. That is how long our fleet has to survive against superior numbers before our flagship arrives. Tell Murphy to use defensive formation Omega. Make the Kreelan come to us. Use the gravity wells from New Terra's moons to our advantage. Yes, Admiral. Casey sat down in her command chair and took a deep breath. This was the moment everything had been building toward. 5 years of preparation, 5 years of building ships and training crews, 5 years of waiting for the galaxy to realize that exiling humanity had been a terrible mistake. The Kreelan thought they were attacking a weak, isolated species. They were about to face the full might of Earth's military. Human railguns against Kreelan shields, human speed against Kreelan firepower, human determination against Kreelan arrogance. Lisa, how long until contact? Casey asked. 3 hours and 12 minutes. Casey nodded. Then we wait. And we pray that our people are as good as I think they are. Around the command center, Dozens of officers worked at their stations, monitoring sensor feeds, coordinating logistics, and preparing for every possible outcome. The mood was tense but focused. Everyone knew what was at stake. Casey looked at a picture on her desk. It showed Earth as seen from space, a beautiful blue and green sphere hanging in the darkness. That was what they were fighting for. Not just the planet, but the idea that humanity deserved a place in the galaxy, that no council of aliens had the right to decide humanity's fate. The Krelin were coming with overwhelming force, but they did not understand what they were really fighting. They thought this was a war of conquest. For humanity, it was a war of survival, and humans had proven throughout their history that they would do anything to survive. The battle lasted 18 hours and became the most important military engagement in human history. Captain Nicole Grant commanded the Defiance from its bridge. The massive flagship's weapons tore through Krelin vessels with terrible efficiency. Around her, 140 human ships fought with desperate courage. Every captain had received the same orders: protect New Terra at all costs. Railgun batteries 3 and 4, target the Krelon flagship, Nicole ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos of battle. I want that command ship destroyed. The Defiance's main guns fired. The recoil vibrated through the entire 5-kilometer vessel. The Krelon flagship, a massive dreadnought that had terrorized a dozen species, simply stopped existing. The tungsten rounds punched through its shields, through its armor, through everything. Nothing remained but scattered debris. Across the battlefield, the situation was changing. The Krelon had more ships, but human vessels were faster and more maneuverable. Human weapons were unlike anything the Krelon had faced before. Railguns did not care about shield technology or energy-dampening fields. They were simple physics made deadly. Heavy metal moving very fast equals unstoppable force. Admiral Kyle Murphy commanded from the cruiser Valiant. He coordinated the fleet with skill and precision. All wings execute containment pattern Gamma. Do not let those bombardment platforms get close enough to fire on the colony. Fighter squadrons launched from the carriers. Small and quick, these craft were piloted by young men and women who had trained for this their entire lives. They swarmed into the Krelon formations like angry wasps. Missiles and cannon fire found weak points in the larger vessel's defenses. On the surface of New Terra, 3 million colonists watched the battle in their sky. They knew their lives depended on what happened up there. Children pressed against windows. Mothers held babies tight. Fathers stood ready with whatever weapons they could find, prepared to defend their homes if the battle was lost. But the battle was not being lost. Against all odds, against an invasion force that should have overwhelmed them, humanity was winning. The Krelon began to realize this too. After losing 2/3 of their fleet, the surviving vessels turned and fled. Their quantum drives left streaks of light as they jumped away to safety. The human fleet did not chase them. They had made their point clear enough. Nicole opened a channel to Admiral Murphy. Kyle, what is our status? 12 ships destroyed, 34 damaged but repairable. We are counting approximately 215 Krelon vessels destroyed or captured. It is a complete victory, Nicole. On Earth, in the Lunar Command Center, Fleet Admiral Casey Bennett allowed herself one moment of satisfaction before returning to work. The victory at New Terra was important, but it was just the beginning of something larger. Lisa, collect all combat data and prepare a full report. I want every detail of this battle documented. Then make copies and send them to every human colony, every ship in our fleet, and, she paused, every member of the Galactic Council. You want the Council to know our military capabilities? Lisa asked with surprise. I want them to understand that humanity is not asking to be readmitted to their club. We are offering an alliance on our terms. Casey pulled up a star map showing not just human space, but the territories beyond. The Krelon will not stop with one defeat. They will try again, maybe even harder. But they have also shown weakness to their neighbors. The Threxian Collective has been watching this battle, so has the Vaxan hierarchy. They see an opportunity. You are planning to expand our territory, Lisa realized. The Krelon wanted to conquer us. Instead, we are going to defeat them completely. Casey's expression was determined, not through occupation or slavery. We will offer their oppressed colonies freedom. We will offer their enemies partnership. And we will offer the Krelon Empire itself a choice: peace on our terms or total destruction. Over the next 6 months, Casey's plan unfolded exactly as she hoped. Human fleets moved beyond their original borders, not as invaders but as liberators. Colony after colony rose up against Krelon rule, with Earth providing military support and protection. The Krelon Empire, which had stood strong for 3,000 years, began crumbling under the pressure of humanity's offensive. But Casey had bigger plans. She opened diplomatic channels with species the Council had overlooked. Minor powers, frontier worlds, independent stations. To each one she offered the same thing: membership in a new alliance. Not the Galactic Council with its slow bureaucracy and empty promises, but a federation built on mutual defense and fair trade. They called it the Terran Federation. Within 2 years, 40 species had joined. Within 5 years, that number grew to 120. The Galactic Council watched with growing alarm as Earth's influence spread across the galaxy. The eldest himself finally requested a meeting with Ambassador Jake Morrison, the same human they had exiled 10 years earlier. Jake stood once more in the council chambers, but this time he was not alone. Behind him stood representatives from 100 different worlds, all part of the Terran Federation. The message was clear: Earth was no longer isolated. "You have destabilized the galaxy," the eldest accused. Its crystal body pulsed with colors showing anger. "We have freed half the galaxy," Jake corrected. "Your council maintained order through apathy and neglect. You left species to defend themselves against empires like the Krelon. We offered them something better. You have built an empire," a Threxian delegate said with clear hostility. "Yes," Jake agreed without shame. "An empire founded not on conquest but on consent. Every world in the Federation joined willingly. Every member has equal rights. Can the Council say the same about how it treats members?" The chamber fell into uncomfortable silence. The truth was obvious to everyone present. In the 10 years since humanity's exile, Earth had accomplished what the Council never could. They had united different species not through regulations and mandates but through genuine cooperation and shared protection. The eldest finally spoke again. "What does Earth want from this Council?" Jake smiled. "Recognition. Not as members begging to rejoin, but as equals. The Terran Federation and the Galactic Council can coexist peacefully. We can compete fairly, or we can cooperate when our interests align. The choice is yours. But understand this clearly. Humanity will never again bow to any authority that does not respect our sovereignty and the sovereignty of our allies." He turned to leave, his delegation following behind him. Then he stopped and looked back. "You exiled us because you feared we would build weapons. You were right to fear, but wrong about the reason. We did not build an armada to conquer others. We built it to ensure we would never be at anyone's mercy again. And now that protection extends to every species that joins us." The doors closed behind the Terran delegation. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence, finally understanding that the balance of power in the galaxy had changed forever. Earth, exiled and abandoned, had forged an armada and an empire, not through tyranny or force but through determination, innovation, and an unwavering refusal to accept the role of victim. Humanity had been cast out of the old order and responded by building something new. The age of the Galactic Council's supremacy was ending. The age of the Terran Federation had begun. In her office on the moon, Fleet Admiral Casey Bennett looked at star charts showing their expanding influence and allowed herself a rare smile. The Council had called humanity too dangerous, too aggressive, too warlike to have a place in the galactic community. They had been correct about humanity being dangerous. But Earth had proven that danger could be channeled into protection. Aggression could become liberation. Military might could build lasting peace. Jake entered her office, just returned from the council meeting. "They are scared, Casey." The eldest actually trembled when I mentioned our fleet strength. "Good," Casey said simply. "Fear means respect, and respect means they will think twice before threatening us or our allies again." "Do you think we will ever have peace with the council?" Jake asked. Casey considered the question carefully. "Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice. For 50 years, we tried to find justice within the council's system. They rejected us, so we built our own system, one where every species has a voice and protection. If the council wants peace with us, they need to accept that they are no longer the only power in the galaxy." She looked at the image of Earth on her wall screen. That beautiful blue and green world had been dismissed and exiled. Its people had been called dangerous warmongers. But when tested, Humanity had proven stronger than anyone imagined. "The galaxy will never underestimate us again," Casey said quietly. Jake nodded in agreement. "And any species that needs help now knows they have an alternative to the Council. They can turn to Earth and the Federation." "That is exactly what I wanted," Casey said. "The Council exiled us thinking we would disappear. Instead, we became their equal. And maybe in time we will become something greater, not through conquest, but through offering others what the Council never could: genuine partnership and real protection." Outside her window, the Defiance hung in orbit, a symbol of human determination and strength. Around it, hundreds of other ships from dozens of species patrolled together. The Terran Federation fleet, united not by fear, but by common cause. Earth had been exiled. Earth had built an